The broadcast is live. This is Coach Arnie, and this is the Health, Love, and Life show on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and Podcast, the #1 internet singles radio network in Armani. And we're going to talk tonight about life. So there's my phone number, and there's a title. If you're struggling, you're still in the game. And, it's been a lot. It's been a kind of a roller coaster for a lot of people. For me, it's been a great study of human behavior and human psychology because that's my interest. I've been studying that for, close to 30 years. I mean, my background as a teacher and a coach, well, let's go 40 years, really. Because when you're working with athletes and students, it's constantly a tug of war between learning about each individual and how to best communicate and help them, because that's what it really comes down to. The real issue is, where do we put our trust? And hopefully you're learning that you don't put trust in people. You love people, but you don't put trust in people. You put trust in yourself. In my world, when I teach about alignment, it's Arnie, God, Arnie, then my wife, then my family, my kids, then my family, and then everything else. So I never put anything between myself and my God. And you should, if you have a spiritual anchor, then that's where it should be for you, because every time you put something between yourself and your spiritual anchor, it creates pain in your life. And at each level, it's the same thing. It's just like your neck. When your neck is out of alignment, it hurts. When your lower back is out of alignment, it hurts. When the thoracic vertebrae between your neck and your lower back are out of place, it really hurts. Between those shoulder blades, you feel that pain. Your hips out, hurts. When things are out of alignment in your body, it hurts. When things are out of alignment spiritually in your life, it hurts. And so just kind of stepping back, and I'm trying to be more of an eagle these last couple of weeks. I'm trying to get my hat to look straight. There you go. Meaning that eagles have a unique ability to fly higher than other birds who can be kind of an annoyance to them. So if an eagle's floating around up here and a bird comes at it and wants to cause it some problems, eagles don't sit there and fight with other birds. They just don't do that. They catch a thermal and they just keep circling. Watch them sometime. And they keep going higher and higher. And pretty soon the other bird goes, well, heck, I'm not going up there. It hurts. So they just go back down and annoy something else. So I'm trying to do that in my own life right now as I try to catch a thermal and go a little bit higher than my fellow human beings and just kind of watch. Because I know that when people are anxious and worried and upset and angry and, all kind of emotions. I have an emotion chart right above my computer here. And some of them, the more negative, the negative emotions are guilt, shame, pain, fear, anger. So there's a lot of that going on out there. There's a lot of people feel guilty. There's a lot of people feel pain, shame, anger, and worry. So as I watch that, I have a sense that, one, I can't really help unless somebody wants help. Two, if I get high enough, I can kind of pick my target as to who I can encourage. Like tonight, I will talk about health, love, and life, and I will encourage those that are open to it. I was doing a talk earlier, And I talk about there's a piece of the brain called the reticulating activation system, RAS. It's like sonar. And I learned about this from Tony Robbins many, many years ago. And it came to mind again. He did a wonderful podcast the other day. Oh, beautiful. Go look it up. If not, get a hold of me and I'll send it over to you. Send you the link. But talking about fear and protecting our mind. Because, see, this reticulating activation system in our brain is like sonar, so you'll focus in on what you want to focus in on. So if you want to focus in on negative things, you will. So when I am observing people that I love and care about sitting at home and watching negative news all day long, and negative this, negative that, and I wonder, or they wonder, why they're always upset, or they're angry, why they're short tempered. And it's because this garbage that's flowing into their head is creating garbage that comes out. It happens all the time. You don't have to have a virus to create that. So what we focus on, we get. Just like in life as well, when we focus on being positive and having a great mindset and wanting to help people and kindness and happiness and all those wonderful things, we generally get that. So if you're one of these ones that is focusing on helping other people, encouraging, loving people, acts of kindness, not focus on the negative things, focus on getting others to focus on positive. And if you're doing that, because it starts with you. So if you're doing that, I promise you, you have a completely 180-degree view of the other person. Now, what I'm observing is the negative person is really upset when the positive person shows up, because the positive person is upsetting their negative world. Oh my God. So on social media, when someone's positive and encouraging and loving and doing all the things, that they want to do, it's kind of like, well, you're not taking this seriously, or you're this. And so there's a lot of judgment going on. So where am I going with all this? Well, where I'm going with all this is this. And that's what the title of my show here. If you're struggling, you're still in the game. See, being an old athlete and still very competitive at my age, I know this, that if I'm in the game, if I'm on the court, if I'm on the field, if I'm on the trail, even if I'm hurting, like last Saturday, I was finishing up a long adventure, and I felt a cramp coming on. I've been there, know how to deal with it. And I was close to the end. I go, you know what? You're going to figure this thing out. And I did. Figured it out. I always have, always will. So I created a mindset years ago of, if you get a cramp, this is what you do. So I don't go to the sidelines, sit on the bench. So what happens in life for people that when they get a cramp, get some pain, they go to the bench. Now, I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just telling you that when you go to the bench and sit there and tile off, get a drink, and you watch everybody else playing the game, you don't get a bitch. You don't get a complaint. You're out of the game. Now, it's okay. So when you get back in the game, you know what to do. Hopefully you'll be better. I know this as a coach and as an athlete, that when somebody took my place or somebody took the place of somebody else that couldn't go anymore, they now have an opportunity to earn a spot. And it's happened many, many times in professional sports, all the way down to high school sports and little league sports. The guy that comes in off the bench takes away the spot of the starter. So what's the point of all this rambling here? Is if you're struggling, you're still in the game. You haven't given up your spot to somebody else. If you don't want to deal with the struggle anymore, go to the bench. There's nothing wrong with that, except that you lose your bitch. You can't complain. You're not in the game. So the point is, stay in the game if that's what you want to do. If you want to make a difference, and I'm not saying you can't make a difference on the bench. You could be a great cheerleader. You can be an encourager. Hopefully, if you're not complaining, you have a chance to be an encourager, don't you? But if you're not in a game, then you don't have a say in how the game is being played. If you're in the game and you're struggling, like I was with my cramp, and I've done it 50 times, then you have an opportunity to figure it out and change it, which is what I did, even though I was off in a 7-hour run. I was off by 15 minutes of my goal time because I had to make some changes. 15 minutes. It's like, I was pretty proud of that. Could have been a lot worse. So if you're in the game and you can change things, slow things down a little bit, try a couple of different strategies, change your mindset, you got a chance to win the game. You got a chance to win the game. So that's what we're talking about here, because there's so much confusion out there. I mean, good people are coming up to me with stuff, and all I tell them is, where do you get it from? And if they can't cite me the source, I say, I'd rather not talk about it, because I don't want to be part of the problem. I don't want to be part of the miscommunication. I want to be an encourager. I have my sources. I always have. But that's what I do as a coach and a teacher. I'm curious. I like to ask a lot of questions. And I surround myself with people like that as well. So with that reticulating activation system, if you surround yourself with negative people, what are you going to get? More negative. If you surround with positive, questioning, curious people, what are you going to get? A lot of curiosity, a lot of positives. I mean, it's up to you. We all can make these choices. That's the beauty of this thing. You're free to do whatever you want to do. I just want to encourage you to do what you want to do. If it makes you happy to step off the court and sit on the bench, then do it. There's nothing worse than having somebody on the court or on the field complaining. You're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. So that's why guys that are on the field complaining, they usually end up on the bench. I hope that doesn't become you. So right now what we want to do is we want to figure out, if we're struggling, do we want to stay in the game? I want you to, because I want you to. That's how we learn. That's how we learn to make a difference, by staying in the game. And you create evidence in your own life that you can struggle and not be out of the game. Now, I know I keep repeating this over and over again because I'm trying to drive this thing through your thick skull, that I don't want you to crawl off the court into a corner and wet yourself if life gets hard. I want you to stick in there and figure it out, whether it's asking for help, whether it's looking for information, or whether it's just weathering the storm. Sometimes you just got to batten the hatches, man, and just weather the storm. That's okay too. So when we talk about tonight about how we can work our way through the struggle, let's figure this thing out. So I want to use an analogy here in the animal world. We're going to talk about a boa constrictor or a python, any kind of constrictor snake. And here's how they eat when they catch something. Could be a small animal, could be a human being if it's big enough. What the snake does, it grabs you and it wraps its coils around you. Now, most people think that the snake will just squeeze you to death and be done with it. Nope. It's not what they do. They wait for you to panic. Now, I'm not going to use the word struggle because struggling is different. Struggling means you have your mindset still intact. You're still thinking. I want you to think because life's always hard. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've had to struggle, whether it's on an adventure, whether it's in a business deal, whether it's in a relationship. Struggles will happen. If you're alive, I'll give you something here. When you no longer have struggles, you are dead. You're dead. Okay? Struggle is a part of life. Okay? Struggle is a part of life. So let's go back to that snake. Snake catches something, let's say a decent sized animal, grabs it, wraps its coils around the animal, and then it waits for the animal to panic, which, let's be honest, we probably all would panic. And because panic, like anger, causes us to fatigue quickly. We get tired. So when we get tired, or when the animal gets tired, the snake just closes down a little more. And then you catch your breath, like when you do anger. And I've talked about the crazy eight. Remember this thing? The crazy eight. You see that? I don't think you can see that. There it is. Crazy eight. In anger, depression. Because you can only be angry for so long and you get tired. So when the animal rests up a little bit from being panicked, then it starts to panic some more until it gets tired. And then the snake goes, squinch, squeezes down a little more. So this might take a while. The snake is in no hurry because the snake knows what's going to happen. You're going to panic yourself to death. And then the snake is going to eat you slowly. Now, if you look around right now in society, you can see a lot of that happening right now. I'm watching people panic themselves to death. There have already been, I was listening to a show earlier, medical show, and there's been already a number of suicides. People jumping off of buildings. Yeah. Panicking themselves to death. So, because they decided they didn't want to be in the game anymore. Struggle wasn't worth it. It was too much. So they jumped. So just like the snake, you will work yourself into a frother, panic, until you can't breathe anymore. Then the snake will just finish you off. Now, what could you do? What could you do? I want you to think about this for a second here. What could you do? Because I'm going to give you one more analogy, and that's quicksand. You've heard of quicksand. You've seen it in the movies. We've all remember. What do they tell you not to do when you're in quicksand? Panic. Yeah, wonder why. Well, when you panic, what happens? When you panic, you start to, what? Everybody all at once, you start to sink. That's right. You start to sink. Something unique about quicksand. It just draws you in. So now we have two analogies here. So let's take a break here for a second on the goingsolomedia.com network with CC Schatz and the #1 internet singles talk network. And we'll be right back and we'll continue our conversation on struggle. All right, here we go. So, what do we do about this struggle thing? What if you were in that snake? I was snake. I was in that snake. Hopefully I would be carrying my knife with me that I normally take with me on my adventures. I'd know where it was, know how to use it, and I wouldn't panic. I would struggle, and I'd get myself in position where I could use my knife and possibly use it to get away. But if I struggled and panicked and couldn't get my hands where I needed to, then I would be dead. So you got to have to kind of relax, not panic, so you can think. Because if we think, we're still the highest form on this. We're still the highest on the food chain, aren't we? Last I checked, we were. And you can think, what can I do? Or do I have a knife? Do I have this? I mean, maybe you want to chew your way out of it. I don't know. But you're never going to know if you panic. You'd be too tired. Remember I told you? The snake is not going to squeeze you to death. It's going to wait for you to do that yourself. Life is not going to squeeze you to death. It's going to wait for you to do it to yourself. Same with quicksand. Quicksand is just quicksand. If you float there and think, you got a shot. If you panic, you don't. It'll be over pretty quickly. So it's pretty simple. And it's one of those things that I've talked about before. Easy to say, hard to do. But remember, those hard choices in life, whether it comes down to what you want to eat, whether you want to exercise, whether you want to ask for forgiveness, whether you want to quit your job, quit your relationship, get a new job, get a new relationship, these are all hard things to do. But they have huge upsides, don't they? If you do them. If you don't, you lose the ability to complain. You do. If you walk off the court, off the field, off the mountain, you don't have a bitch. You take it. You take it and you hope, this is my coach coming out now, you hope that you get another shot. Because you might not. You know, there have been a lot of professional athletes that have lost their job because they got an injury and they never got it back. So, guys, I'm telling you, I just don't want you to be one of those folks that are going to lose it here in the next few weeks and not get it back. Let me bring another analogy. Well, it's not an analogy. This is actually happening. I was in a discussion this morning with some people. The number one item being purchased right now in this country, alcohol. What does that tell you? Well, when I go back to my crazy 8 here, see if you can see that. My crazy 8, you try to get out of this thing in 2 different ways. One is to numb your way out with alcohol, drugs, bad behavior. Or you change your rules. Most people don't like change. We've talked about it. It's hard. Change is brutally hard. Especially right now when you're panicking. When you're panicking, you don't think about changing. You think about panicking. You go to your sympathetic nervous system, which tells you to survive. It's what we needed to get away from the saber-toothed tiger. Remember I said, I've told you this one before. What do you do when you see a tiger in the jungle? I know everybody says, well, no, they're not. They're going to run. 95% of you will run from the tiger. What will happen? The tiger will eat you. Because, see, if the tiger's hungry, he's going to eat you anyways. If the tiger's not hungry and you start running, he's going to catch you because he can. And even if he's not hungry, he'll chase you because it's kind of like a cat playing with a dead bird. It's fun. And there's instincts are to chase. And by playing with you like a dead bird, you become a dead bird. So what do? You stand your ground, you lean into your fear. That's what I'm encouraging you to do today. You can't change anything that's going on right now, but you can stand your ground and lean into your fear and think, what can you do? What can you do for your health? What can you do for your mindset? What can you do for your friends and family? What can you do for your job? What can you do? I have a client. I am so proud of this guy. I was telling him just a little while ago, I am so proud of you because if anyone that I've known that I would have thought would have panicked to the hilt, it would have been this guy. And maybe it's because I'm working with him, but he's been doing homework. He works for a big company. He's been working super hard from home, just doing some great things, outworking everybody on his team and still doing homework. So he stays up to speed on things. And because he has facts and he has knowledge, he's not panicking. He's thinking, and he actually laughs about most of this stuff. I love it. And his family, who I love to death, they're panicking. It's a complete reversal. And that's how easy it is. If you want it. He wanted it. He did it. Gosh. And so if any of you out there are panicking and you don't know how to stop it, you don't want to stop it. Because I've seen evidence of people that really struggle with anxiety and depression stop it because they wanted to. They didn't want any more of that in their life. They had enough. Here's another great story too on the struggle. I do work with a lot of not a lot anymore, but I do know 90-year-olds. That's my specialty area. And I was talking to a couple of them this week. It was kind of funny how they're laughing about a lot of this stuff. They've been through world wars, depressions, bankruptcies, deaths, divorces, you name it. They've been through it all. And they see 20 and 30-year-olds running around like chickens with their head cut off. And they just kind of shake their head and kind of smile. Because they know that they just don't know how to deal with stuff. I have a lady I know, she's 96, wonderful lady. And if you were to, she's been through tuberculosis in her 20s. She had cancer. She had heart problems. 96. Because everything just, when it comes on, she just deals with it and moves on. Deals with it and moves on. Deals with it and moves on. So doesn't panic. Heck, I watched her, and most people would call her completely insensitive. I watched her when the last remaining person in her family died. The last one, her niece, a very good friend of mine. She passed away. You would have thought nothing happened. This lady was, and she's a very spiritual woman, but she was upbeat. She was happy. She was joyful. She was considerate of other people's feelings. Everything you want her to be. Except most people would have thought she was insensitive. Well, you know what? You don't get to be 96 and healthy by being a worrywart, a panicker. And you don't help your community either. Period. End of story. You don't. But I tell you how you do help your community: by encouraging, by loving, by being there for them, by listening to them. One of the most hurtful things that we can't do to somebody right now is give them a hug. Do you notice how powerful hugs are? Just when someone's just really hurting, and you can't even give them a hug. It's so powerful. I've been doing virtual hugs all day long. Heck, I'm going to give you guys a virtual hug right now. So any of you need a big hug, here it comes. Okay? Here. Big hug. And hold that hug with somebody. Make them feel good. Because most people, remember I said 95%, they don't get this whole positive thing. It sounds good. It sounds good. But when it comes down to it, when the storm starts, when the bullets start to fly, very few people stand strong and lean into it. Most run, or they curl up in a ball. And we don't know what we're going to do, until it happens, until the big relationship fiasco, the bankruptcy, the death. And I don't wish this on anybody, but I've been through all of it. It doesn't feel good. None of it feels good in the moment. It is horrible. It's painful. But ignoring it doesn't make the pain go away. Leaning into it does, because you're creating movement, creating action. And action always pushes fear away. Always. Okay? Pushes it away. But sitting there and taking it makes it worse. So you just got to figure things out. You got to figure things out that will allow you to better respond to what's happening to you. Because if your response to it is to the struggle is panic, then there's a good chance that you're going to go down. And you may not get up. You may not get up. I'm not sure if I mentioned it before or not, but at some point in our life, we're all going to get punched in the face. Now, for some, this might be a punch in the face. Some might, maybe not, because, it's not like people just lost their jobs because there's no jobs. You probably lost your job because there's a virus. It's totally different. It's how you're going to respond to it. So if you're going to choose not to work because it seems easier not to work, then don't be surprised that the pain that comes along with that. Okay? If you're one of these people that chooses not to take care of themselves, health-wise, don't be surprised if you're more susceptible to getting sick. Don't go, oh man, I'm totally shocked. I can't believe I got sick. Well, wait a minute now. You've got all these problems going on here. What makes you surprised? Come on now. If your awareness is the first part of healing. So maybe it's a wake-up call for you. Maybe it's a wake-up call for you to get yourself feeling better. So that you won't be susceptible to what could happen to you. And I'm always surprised. I'm always not surprised. I'm always amazed, let's say, when people go, oh man, I can't believe I got sick. I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, you eat like crap. You don't take care of yourself. You don't exercise. You got stress to the max. You're surprised? Maybe they are, and that's fine. Now, I then at that point, because pain is an incredible motivator. See, most people want to avoid pain. I do. I want to avoid pain. I want to chase pleasure a little bit, right? I want to avoid pain, but pain is inevitable in life. But if you're not trying to avoid it because you're just ignoring it, that's dumb. Doesn't make it go away. And what the key is, what can you learn from it so that you can avoid it the next time? See? So don't, not all pain is bad if we're learning from it. Like a bad relationship. A bad relationship is a bad relationship. But if you learn from it, you learn what you don't want, then the next time it won't be so bad. Now, if you continue, which is the pattern, and you already know what I'm going to say, when you continue to get in the same kind of relationship, whose fault is that? Not mine. It's probably not the partner you're going after. Might be yours. Might be yours because you choose not to change. And I hear it all the time when I do my relationship work with people. It's like, why do I always get the same kind of guy? Why do I always attract the same kind of gal? I don't know. Why do you? Are you doing anything different? I had a client. He's been divorced twice. He's been with numerous relationships. It always ends the same way. And so the last time I talked to him, because he'll only want to work with me when he's going through this, I said, listen, why is it that you only call me when you're going through this and I tell you the same thing every time and you don't listen? I go, every time I know that when it's quiet, I know that you're back into a relationship and you're probably in the same kind of relationship. So do me a favor, before you do that the next time, call me and let's talk about it. Now, will he do that? Probably not, because I haven't heard from him for a month. Well, guess what? I'm sure he's in a relationship. And I'm sure it's the same kind of relationship. Because, see, I know him, and the reason he didn't call me is because he's afraid I'm going to judge him. But as a coach, when you pay me, I'm going to tell you what I think, because you're paying me for that. And he knows what I'm going to tell him. But he doesn't trust. Since we're talking a little bit about fear here, we all know that the number one fear in the world is I'm never going to be loved. So that's what he's going through. So he's going to do dumb things because he's afraid he's not going to be loved. And remember, the other fear is I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. And so that causes us to do dumb things as well. It causes us to do dumb things as well. And so what does that relate? How does that relate to struggle? Well, it's all struggle. It's all struggle. And life is struggle. And again, it's how we respond to what life does to us that's key. We can't change other people. We can only change ourselves. We can't change the way people think. We can only change the way we think. We can't change anything about the person, the thing in your life, except how you're going to respond to it. And that's where the real challenge comes, because if you choose to take the easy route, then you're probably in for a lot of pain. If you choose to take the tough route and grind through it, persevere, and learn, then you're going to be okay. It's not going to feel good. Remember those level 2 experiences we talked about before? Level 2 experience. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good, but it's good for you. It's good for others. And it serves the greater good. Your community, your family, your job, your colleagues. And those are the toughest decisions that we make in life. And the real key to success in life is being able to change those level 2 experiences in level 1. How do we make those things that just don't feel good? But you got to do them because they're good for you. Somehow, some way, you have to figure out why they're good for you and why you should enjoy it, why you should embrace it. It's like going to the gym. It's not about just going to the gym, even though I love going to the gym. It's about what are you getting for it? I'm getting energy. I'm getting health. I'm getting freedom to do what I want to do. That's why you go to the gym. Now, if you're crazy like me, you also like the grind of the gym. That's okay too, as long as you're not overdoing that as well. But it's the health, the energy, the vitality, the vigor. That's what you're after. So once you start to create that kind of a mindset around those things in your life that just don't feel good, like the relationship, like being willing to date people that might be different, knowing what you want instead of what you think you deserve. See, if you don't love yourself enough to want better things, then you're always going to get what you deserve. Okay. So let's kind of circle back here in the next couple minutes here and just kind of review a little bit about the struggle. And remember, whenever you hear things like struggle, it's not bad. It's only bad when you panic. And I want you, my challenge to all of you tonight is when you're out and about tomorrow, whether it's at the grocery store, wherever you're at, and you're around panic, step away and observe and think to yourself, what would you do in that situation? How could you handle it better? And remember, when you're in the storm, you don't always get a chance to get a second shot at it. So what would you do in the moment? So if you start to practice stepping back, like one of the things you've all heard is when you're going to say something horrible in a relationship or at job, at work, count to 10. Count to 10. Step back. Take a look. What would you do? How would you handle that situation? Could you ask a better question? I don't know. See, we're not going to know until we're in the battle, until we're in the storm. Right now, we're all in the storm. So how are you going to handle it? How are you going to respond? Are you going to work harder if you're at home? If you're going to exercise harder if you have an opportunity? Are you going to eat better? Are you going to get sucked into the herd mentality and just drink a bunch of booze? I don't know. Are you going to eat more processed food or less processed food? I don't know. You're going to know. Are you hoarding things when you shouldn't be? I don't know. That's your deal. Are you thinking about your neighbor, your fellow man, your community, and are you trying to get out and encourage people and be positive? I don't know. That's your deal. I'm encouraging you. I'm staying positive. I'm not spreading false rumors. I'm double checking things, my sources. And I'm trusting God. And my faith is strong. Remember my hopeful principle. Healthy eating, optimal environment, purpose, exercise, energy, faith, usefulness, legacy. When you come out of this thing, whether it's in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever, are you going to have a better legacy to talk about? How you handle it. So when the next storm comes, because it's coming, there's always going to be storms in life. How are you going to handle it? Where's your faith? Do you have faith? Maybe it's time to get some faith. I don't know. But look, as you see there on the screen, if you're struggling, you're still in the game. If you quit, you don't have a say anymore, and you're going to just take whatever people give you. Don't go there. Stay in the game. Stay in the game. I promise you, it'll work out. This is Coach Arnie with the Health, Love, and Life Show. I love you guys. Stay in the game. If you ever want to call me and just to talk, if you're really struggling and you're about ready to panic, give me a call, 602-390-9144. Let me help you walk back from the cliff, okay? It's all good. You're okay. It's going to be okay. But you got to give it a shot. Don't follow the herd. Challenge the status quo. Think. If you're in the grasp of the boa constrictor, if you're sinking in quicksand, relax. Don't panic. All right, guys. I love you. This is Coach Arnie on the Health, Love, and Life Show. And on the goingsolomedia.com. Go ahead and follow me. Follow all the other shows there. Cece's got a wonderful bunch of shows going on. And it's a great way. Go watch some videos and get pumped up. Get fired up. All right, guys. I love you. I'm out of here.